Get started here, if I can get my colleagues to return to the dais. And Carmen? Okay. Oh, okay. All right, good evening, everyone. Am I on? It's always exciting to have a full house here. I would like to call the regular meeting to order and announce that the board did meet in closed session and no action was taken. I would also like to announce that tonight's meeting is being video recorded and will be available on the district's YouTube channel. I'd like to announce that cards are available at the table just outside of the boardroom for anyone who wishes to address the board. If you wish to address the board, please complete a card and hand it to the staff member at the right of my side. Please be sure to indicate on the card whether the matter you wish to address is on the agenda or not on the agenda. If the matter is on the agenda, we will assume you wish to speak when it comes time to address that item on the agenda, and we will hold your card until that time. I would like to now call on Mr. Dennis Kearney and his family. I'm going to read some wonderful things here about this great man. Mr. Kearney is from Joseph Sims Elementary School, and I would also like to call on our principal from Joseph Sims, Ms. Carrie Pearson. Good evening. So I'd like to introduce you all to Dennis Kearney. Joseph Sims Elementary School is pleased to have Mr. Dennis Kearney here this evening to lead the Elk Grove Board of Education and the community in the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Kearney is father to Sine, a fourth grader at Joseph Sims, and an asset to our community. In addition to being Sine's dad, Dennis has volunteered countless hours of his time and talents over the last 5 years. It is not uncommon to see Dennis at the school site doing anything and everything that needs to be done. He has supported teachers, staff, students, and the Sims community by working in the classroom, serving as an active member of the PTO, including serving as a PTO co-president and top dog for our Watchdogs program. Dennis is an honored veteran of both the United States Navy and Air Force. He is now medically retired after serving 3 tours of duty and 25 medical evacuations in Iraqi freedom as a flight med tech with the 349th Medical Evacuation Squadron in Ramstein, Germany. Dennis was recently hired by Elk Grove Unified School District to teach a certified nursing assistant class for adult education. Additionally, he is employed through K-12 Health as part-time school nurse. Mr. Kearney is an accomplished author of 4 books that are featured on Amazon. He is currently writing his 5th book, which should be on Amazon shelves in the spring of 2016. In his free time, Dennis enjoys sculling, and he is an active member of the Delta Sculling Club. I want to know more about that. Joseph Sims Elementary School is honored to have Mr. Dennis Kearney as a member of our community, and we are proud to have him represent our school here tonight. We look forward to his continued support and smiles. He is the epitome of a true American hero and is a positive role model to the Elk Grove Unified School District educational community. Let's give a round of applause. And Mr. Kearney will lead us in the pledge, so if we can have everyone please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you like to say anything, sir? And don't leave, I'll be right down.
I'm sorry, what? Thank you for inviting me. It's a real honor for me to be here and for me to represent Joseph Sims.
Okay. We know it's the beginning of the school year because we have now returned to our high school student representative report, something we all look very forward to every year. Tonight we have Elk Grove High School and Monterey Trail High School. First up, Elk Grove High School.
Good evening, President Singh Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. My name is Jackson McDaniel, and I'm a senior school board rep at Elk Grove High School.
My name is Emily Medigovich, and I am the ASB president. In July, the senior class of 2016 continued one of Elk Grove High School's many traditions when we painted the senior steps and mural. This year, we went with a Survivor Tropical Tiki theme because we have survived. In preparation for the incoming school year, the link leaders got together for training in order to be the class of 2019's personal high school companion. Yes, we shamelessly borrowed from Big Hero 6. After 2 days of training, we learned activities to mentor our freshmen and how to help make their experience at EGHS a better one. Link days were filled with connecting activities, a campus tour in costume, getting our lockers open, and bonding with the freshmen at the annual Link Dance. The next day, the link leaders and student leaders got together to present Herd Roundup, where our students and their families could get ID cards and buy class t-shirts and many other beginning of the year purchases.
Bright and early August 10th, the ASB members gathered and welcomed the Elk Grove High School staff into the new school year by working with PTSO to put on a welcome back breakfast for the teachers. After breakfast, ASB put on a rally to help get the teachers prepped for the new school year. You haven't lived until you've seen your teachers shake a ping pong ball out of a tissue box strapped to their belt. On the first day of school, the senior class got together for senior sunrise to kick off the new year with laughter, games, and an overall fun time. After we all watched the sunrise, we went to the senior mural to put our mark on the school by marking our names as birds on the horizon. Back to school night was between heat waves. While parents were showing up with class councils working tables and hoping to get volunteers, parents got to spend the evening meeting our teachers, running from class to class, and after that night, they are much more understanding about the flop I take on the couch.
We have already had the 9th, 10th, and 11th grade level assemblies. These involved games and a hilarious performance from Powder Puff cheerleaders. Mr. Ortega talked about the school's campus cultural committee expectations for the herd to act safely, responsibly, and respectfully. This year, we are focusing on being respectful, focusing on appropriate languages at all times, and reminding us to throw trash away. There are herd pride tickets that students who are seen being responsible are given that enter them into raffles each week to encourage and reward responsible behavior. August 21st was the Welcome Back Rally. The freshmen showed up with a lot of spirit, but the class of 2016 still showed them how it's done, senior style. During the rally, our drill team, Rhythmical Madness Dance Company, cheerleaders, and international roller skating competitor Miranda Detlefson performed. Later that night, we danced the night away under the stars on the quad. Just last week, Blood Source came, and over 90 EGHS students and staff attempted to donate. We were able to reach our goal of 70 pints of blood collected and had a great day working together.
Later in the week, we had a very successful club rush. This year, familiar clubs such as Friday Night Live, BSU, language clubs, Cyber Patriot, GSA, Christian, Swing Dance, and Key clubs are back at it, but we will also have a Fishing and Future Teachers Club to add to the 25 or more club options our students have. Last Friday was senior barbecue. Despite the heat, everyone had an overall great time with inflatable obstacle courses, human foosball, volleyball, soccer, and many other fun times. A huge thank you goes out to our ag department for another amazing tri-tip lunch. But the highlight of the day is always the lip sync contest. The costumes are always innovative and I have to say the class of 2016 has got talent. The winner will perform at the rally on October 2nd. Sports are already in full swing and the scores are kicking in. So far, the varsity football team had their first win against Reno. Men's soccer started August 10th and the men's varsity team won 4-3. Volleyball also defeated Pioneer in their most recent game.
We followed up with our first Herd Pride Day last Saturday. Students got together to tidy up the campus to show how proud we are when members of the community visit our school. Friends and donuts make the morning fun too. As you can see, this herd is on the move and there is more to come. Our well-known homecoming Powder Puff game will be October 14th and the parade will follow on October 16th. I invite you all to come out to the parade. We leave EGHS at 1 p.m. Here's a tip. The best spot on the parade route is the area in front of Jesse Baker's school. The students are a pure delight and our parade spirit soars for our very special audience. Another good spot is in front of Skips where our judges station will get special attention from our participants. The game and crowning of King and Queen follow at the football halftime that night. We would also like to invite you to our Academic Awards Night Monday, November 2nd.
It has been our pleasure submitting this report, and we look forward to seeing you at our many events. Thank you, Jackson McDaniel.
And Emily Medigovich.
Excellent, excellent report. Next up, Monterey Trail High School.
Good evening, Board President St. Allen, Superintendent Hoffman, members of the board, and Ms. Avalos. My name is Simi Ojalade, and I'm ASB President at Monterey Trail High School.
And I am Hanson Tran, ASB Vice President.
On August 25th, Monterey Trail held Back to School Night, an event that allowed parents and family members to be introduced to their child's current classes and teachers. Parents were able to sign up with Schooloop and meet the community coordinator, Nicole Brown. Parents have been given the opportunity to be more involved in their child's learning through a program called Mustang Connection, where a truthful partnership between home and school is created through monthly meetings that include presentations which cover topics that navigate today's educational environment. This, along with the Parent Project, ELAC, and the School Site Council, all contribute to the overall parent involvement offered on our campus. On August 25th, School Site Council elections took place.
On August 12th, the class of 2016 kicked off the year with Senior Sunrise in the Mark Macris Memorial Stadium. Seniors were able to watch the sunrise, bond with their peers, and enjoy complimentary juice and donuts. On August 21st, we held our Welcome Back Assembly to introduce our staff, teachers, administration, and ASB students. On August 7th, Link Crew held an orientation for the upcoming freshmen so they can become familiar with their campus. Following this event, on September 4th, Link Crew will be hosting their annual tailgate party for our freshmen. This will be filled with many exciting games, music, food, and live entertainment from our Impulse Dance Company. The event allows a warm welcome to the freshmen on campus as well as a bonding opportunity. On August 25th, Link Crew held training for its members as well as a follow-up to interact with the freshmen on August 27th. Tryouts for fall sports include tennis, water polo, cross country, women's volleyball, men's soccer, and football took place on August 10th. Our football team kicked off the season with a preseason game versus Antelope on August 28th, as well as our soccer team versus El Camino. Yesterday, our varsity women's volleyball team won their foundation game against Indercom High School with a score of 3-2, where all proceeds will go towards the team's travels and supplies. The cheer team has added 6 boys to their team. On the first football game, cheer will be providing VIP end zone seating as a fundraiser for the squad.
Monterey Trail's annual Club Rush will be held September 8th and 9th. Students from all grade levels have a chance to explore the numerous clubs offered on our campus. We have academic, cultural, performing, and student interest clubs such as Key Club, Poliohana, Latino Club, and many more. So far this year, we have had 3 new clubs, which are Rocketry Club, DIY Club, and Be the Impact, where they fundraise for charity. Poly Club has been holding meetings to practice and prepare themselves for the upcoming events such as Luau and Main Stage. Our school's Data Academy will be holding their first monthly meeting on September 14th to discuss upcoming events such as the Chico field trip for the members on September 30th. The data leadership applications are also due on September 14th. Our student store this year is now operated by a new entrepreneur class in collaboration with ASB.
Impulse Dance Company has been working hard and will perform in numerous events on campus, such as the rallies and the Link Crew tailgate. Meanwhile, band is preparing for their concert that would take place at the end of the term.
We thank you for your time and support. Hanson and I will be returning back to you on December 8th with even more exceptional achievements by the Monterey Trail Mustangs.
Excellent, excellent report. I would like to recognize our fabulous principals from both Elk Grove High School and Monterey Trail High School. Please recognize Ms. Kathy Guy and Ms. Jenna Durham. All right, you may be excused. I'm sure there's tons of homework. All right, we are going to come back to item number 2. We're going to go to item 3 next. All right. Introduction of new pre-K 6 education administrators, and I'd like to call on Ms. Cherry. Would you like us to come down there?
I would love it. Thank you very
Perfect.
much.
So I invite the entire board to come and greet.
Good evening, Presidents. Good evening, President Singh Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. This evening, I have the pleasure of introducing you to a variety of different pre-K 6 administrators. Some administrators are new to their positions as principals or vice principals, and some of them are new to the site as a principal or vice principal. I'm going to start with Mr. Gordon Blackwood. Gordon Blackwood is currently the principal of Florence Markoffer Elementary School, coming from John Reef. He celebrates his 27th year in Elk Grove Unified School District, and most importantly, he was Donna Cherry's vice principal for 2 years. Next, we have Jody Boyle. Jody Boyle is the vice principal at 2 schools, Arnold Adriani and Sierra Enterprise Elementary School. She comes to us being a principal at Raymond Case, and one very noted thing about Jody, when she was a teacher at Consumnes River Elementary School, they needed to downsize by a teacher. The least senior teacher had been there for about 10 to 12 years, and Jody Boyle stepped up and took the transfer and moved to Raymond Case Elementary School. Thank you, Jody Boyle. Mr. Jason Campbell is the vice principal at Edna Beatty Elementary School. Previous to that, he was the vice principal at Mayo Labeitzel. He's a marathon runner, and if he can shave 4 minutes off of his goal, he'll go to the Boston Marathon. Thank you for being with us, Jason. I'd love it. Melissa Chin. Melissa Chin is currently the principal of Robert J. Fite Elementary School. She comes to us previously as the vice principal at Edna Beatty Elementary School. She is a wonderful vice principal, and she is the first Mien principal in the entire United States of America. Wow. Congratulations, Melissa. Mien female principal. Shelley Clark is not with us. Shelley Clark is currently the principal of the brand new Marion Mix Elementary School after leaving Joseph Sims to become that new principal. She couldn't join us this evening because it's her PTA's first election meeting, but we wish her all the best in her new school. Jody Cooper Hoffman, that name might sound familiar to you. This is Jody Cooper Hoffman. She was with Elk Grove, and then she left us for a short stint. She went to Natomas, but she's been a member of the Elk Grove community for over 30 years, 19 years in our district. She's a graduate of Valley High School also, and has a senior at Laguna Creek. Congratulations, Jody. Mr. Paul Cordera. Mr. Paul Cordera is currently the principal of Florin Elementary School. He was the vice principal at Samuel Kennedy, and this gentleman rides his bike to work almost every day from downtown all the way to Florin Road off Stockton Boulevard, and he has more energy than most people you know. Thanks for being with us, Paul. Next, we have Mr. Joe Donovan. Joe Donovan is currently the principal of Joseph Sims Elementary School. I'm sorry. Folks Ranch, that's what happens when I don't look. Folks Ranch, he comes to us before that. Pleasant Grove, where he spent several years at Pleasant Grove. I was there at a soccer game this weekend. Joe, you did a great job there as well as at your current site, and thank you so much, Folks Ranch Elementary School. Mr. Omar Field Ridley. Mr. Omar Field Ridley is currently the principal of Charles Mack Elementary School. Previous to that, he was the vice principal at Irene B. West. He has been working with students for 16 years. He is a concert violinist. The students love him, and his wife and family provide unconditional support, which allows him to be the great principal that he is. Thank you, Omar. Ladies and gentlemen, next we have Martha Garcia. Martha comes to us out of Lodi. We were happy to have her join us. She is currently the vice principal at Samuel Kennedy Elementary School. She's been a classroom teacher for 7 years and an administrator for 3 years, and she is a very, very great member to the Elk Grove Unified School District family. Mr. Lynn Garverick. Lynn is a gentleman that has completed our administrative program. I can't tell you how happy we are to have him as the new vice principal of Mayola Beitzel. And as soon as we can find a kindergarten teacher to replace him, he'll join the Mayola Beitzel staff, and we hope that's Tuesday, September the 8th. Congratulations, Lynn. Mr. Kyle Harrison. Mr. Kyle Harrison has one of the strongest handshakes of anybody I have ever met. He is a true gentleman. No, he is a vice principal in 2 locations, a tough job. Elk Grove Elementary as well as Florin Elementary School. He was previously an academic coordinator, and he is a true dedicated administrator, and we're happy to have him as one of our vice principals. Mr. Scott Hadley. Mr. Scott Hadley is the vice principal at Helen Carr Costello. He has been our district for about 20 years. He's been a teacher and an academic program coordinator. He spent time at Prairie, Kirchgator, and now once again he joins us at Helen Carr Costello as their vice principal. Thank you, Scott. Nicole Kent. I get to see Nicole on a regular basis as she is the vice principal at Anna Kirchgator Elementary School. I love to watch her in the morning calling all of the students to assembly as they say the Pledge of Allegiance outside. She came to us from Brown Elementary, which was in Turlock Elementary School, and we were happy to be able to wrestle her away from Turlock and bring her here to Elk Grove Unified School District. This is a lady that needs very little introduction. This is Mary Beth Kropp. Mary Beth Kropp, I can't tell you how happy we are to have her as the new principal at Edna Beatty after spending about 17 years as the 15, 17, 18. They run together a long time at Folks Ranch. The Folks Ranch community misses her greatly, but the Edna Beatty community is happy to have Mary Beth Kropp as the principal of Edna Beatty. Mr. Marty Hawk. Let me tell you, Mr. Marty Hawk is a fabulous principal. He recently left Charles Mack Elementary School to become the principal of Sunrise Elementary School. And Marty is joined in the back by his family. And there was a little boy at Marty's school, And the young man was in foster care, and Marty kept watching the young man year after year after year, wondering why nobody adopted him. And Marty did. Congratulations, Marty. Thank you. Thank you so much. Mr. Eric Murchison. Mr. Murchison has been a member of Elk Grove Unified for quite some time. He is the principal of Ellen Fikert Elementary School. Previous to this, he was the principal at Florence Markhofer. He has children in college. He's doing a lot of bike riding now, and he is a big surfer. So good to see you, Eric. Tamesia McNeil is one of our newest vice principals. She shares 2 schools also, Raymond Case Elementary and Franklin Elementary School, where she'll spend half of her time at each. She was recently a teacher at Ed Harris Jr. Middle School. She has lots of experience and is very, very adept in the area of special education. Thank you so much, Tamesia, for joining us. Miss Liz Ruda. Miss Liz Ruda took a challenge on this year. She was previously the principal of Robert J. Fight Elementary School. Mary Sukamoto, a much larger, very complex school, came open, and Liz raised her hand. She called me one day. She said, you know what, Mrs. Cherry, I think I might want to transfer to Mary Sukamoto. Liz, we're so happy to have you there. Thank you so much. Anita Tong. Anita Tong is another person we were able to look outside of our district to another district. She was a principal in Natomas at a charter school. She is now with us, and she is the vice principal of Irene B. West Elementary School. Mr. Mark Vieira. Mr. Mark Vieira is the principal of Arnold Adriani Elementary School. He was an administrator with us, decided to leave and go to Lodi for a little while, realized that Elk Grove Unified School District was where he wanted to spend his time and make his home, and we're happy to have him back, principal of Arnold Adriani Elementary School. Miss Jennifer Wilbanks. Well, she has moved from being a vice principal at 2 schools to being a vice principal at 1 school, and that school is Roy Herberger Elementary School. Congratulations, and she is on her scooter today. Jennifer, thank you for being here. And Miss Deidre Wood. Deidre Wood was the vice principal at Elk Grove and Florin Elementary School. She now has 1 site where she's the principal, and that is Pleasant Grove Elementary School. Congratulations, Deidre. We're so happy to have you. And that concludes the most recent changes in the elementary education division for this year. We're so happy to have everyone, and thank you again, board, for welcoming them. We really appreciate it.
All right.
Yes.
right, we're going to go back to item number 2. Excellence in Public Health Collaboration Recognition, and I'd like to call on both Ms. Tina Penna and Donna Cherry, and assisting will be Ms. Chidas and myself.
Thank you and good evening, President Singh Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. This evening, Ms. Cherry and I asked the board to support the recognition of 3 of our principals by the Sacramento Board of Supervisors and the Sacramento County Division of Public Health. Those 3 principals are Don Ross, the principal of Florin High School, Chantel Albiani, the principal of Franklin High School, and Sheila Carruthers, the principal of Franklin Elementary School. This recognition this evening is a result of the principals' collaboration and coordination with the county related to tuberculosis screening at their respective schools last spring. For this recognition, we are honored to have with us one of our county supervisors, the Honorable Don Natoli, representing District 5. Also, to make the presentation this evening, we are joined by Sacramento Public Health Officer, Dr. Olivia Casserier, and Public Health Communication Officer, Ms. Laura McCaslin. At this time, we would invite Dr. Casserier and Ms. McCaslin to come forward to the podium, and Ms. McCaslin will address the board first.
Is it this microphone? Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to be here this evening. We're pleased to come up here and to recognize the swift collaboration and support that the Sacramento County Division of Public Health received from the Elk Grove School District. It's rare to have TB exposure in a school. There may be several years between calls to public health in such situations. But when this does occur, immediate action must be taken. Anxiety is high because youth are involved, and parents worry even more if they hear about it without having information provided to them immediately. But there is a risk, and there is a risk of generating unnecessary fear, and there's also a very fine balancing act between releasing information early without many answers or waiting and releasing information later with more answers. There's a decision there that's very critical. On top of that, there is pressure to get information out there with mainstream media. It's important for the school districts to notify parents before they hear it on the news, which could be very alarming. And with the advent of social media today, we're also competing with Twitter and with Facebook and different modes of communication, which adds to the intensity and the pressure to get that information out. And then another component is to make sure that information is translated quickly into different languages so that as many parents as possible accurately understand the situation. So this was a very delicate situation. It was urgent, and it was very, very important that we get information out quickly. And I wanted to make a special thank you and recognition to Ms. Pinkerton, who was remarkably accessible, responsible, and she had great presence of mind during this very hectic time. I was grateful that I was able to work with her through this, and that I again wanted to take the moment to say thank you for everything that you did. Where are you?
Good evening, members of the board. Hopefully you can hear me. Okay, my voice tends to be soft, so every time I speak, someone says, "Could you speak louder?" Thank you so much for having us here and taking the time to hear us and help us in recognizing 3 of the principals of the school district. As Ms. Caslin pointed out, these kinds of screenings are very rare. Most of the people that we get with tuberculosis are adults. Once in a while, we do get a child in a school, and then it's always a tricky situation. We have to act fast because we're dealing with a large group of people. We have to get accurate information out. And so you can imagine having 3 schools within 1 year. This is really, really, really rare. So and sometimes, a lot of times people don't realize just how much goes into these investigations, because not only do the schools have to pull all the classes, get all the students, and then make sure that we can choose a date when all the students are available. And we don't do it just once. We do it the first time to place the skin test. come back 3 days afterwards to read the skin test, and then about 2 to 3 months after that, come back again and do it all over again. So each of these schools had to do it 4 times. And so over this period of time between the 3 schools, we screened about 500 students, and you can imagine this was done 4 times. So pulling the students, making sure that we had everything that we needed. In fact, my staff were not here to be able to thank them as well, but one of them called me one time and said, "This is fantastic. We got everybody that we had on our list." And you can imagine. So we really are very appreciative. And so we wanted just to take the time to recognize the collaboration that we got from the principals and from all the school administration as well as the school district. So thank you. So at this time, I'm going to invite Supervisor Natoli to come forward and say a few words.
Well, thank you for allowing me to join with Dr. Kasere and Ms. McCaslin, and certainly your board president and members of the board and the community to just offer my congratulations, but certainly words of thanks to this district and to its leadership, and certainly to the parents, the administrative staff, your instructional staff, and certainly all the students, because I think as has been pointed out here, certainly having a safe and nurturing learning environment is very, very important, and it has many different aspects to it. Part of it is obviously the public health aspect. And when you have communicable diseases, as all of you are very well aware, and certainly in close quarters where people are coming into contact with one another, with socializing and spending time in a classroom, the opportunities for spread of disease certainly present themselves. But it was quick action, and I want to compliment the principals Ross, Carruthers, and Albiani certainly for their work, but all the staff. I know your deputy superintendents were there. I think it was a Friday evening, if I remember, one of the first meetings. Members of the board were there, and certainly a host of others, county staff and other folks that were interested certainly in doing the right thing, doing it quickly. And it just calls to mind an old saying, but folks remained cool, calm, and collected, and did their part, and everybody doing their part proved to be a tremendous collaboration. And again, we recognize this district, certainly its leadership in many ways, but the public health obviously is a primary concern, and in this case we were able to deal with the issue, and certainly I think prove once again that folks working together can really make for a safe, nurturing, and good learning environment, one that has public health as a primary component. So my thanks to Ms. Singh Allen, certainly to you as your board president, but to the entire board and the district for its leadership. And we certainly and look forward to working with you again, hopefully not in this type of a situation, but in the event that we do, we know we've got good collaboration and good cooperation. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And again, I just wanted to mention also the support that we get from the Board of Supervisors. It's really great to know that we have them as behind us, and actually they came out for the parent meetings as well. So they have a great concern for the community, and of course children are really close to our hearts. So whenever something affects the children, everyone is out. So I just wanted to call up the, I don't know if I can do that, because if I turn around, I won't be able to. So I just want to call up the principals, and we have a certificate to present to you, and then Supervisor Natoli will shake your hand. So Principal Don Ross from Florine High School. And Principal Sheila Carruthers from Franklin Elementary. And Principal Chantel Albiani from Franklin High School.
Oh, my job, thank you. On behalf of the entire Elk Grove Unified School District, and especially the communities of Florin High School, Franklin High School, and Florin Elementary School, I would like to again thank Supervisor Don Natoli for his hard work, dedication, and support, as well as the hard work of Dr. Olivia Casserier and Ms. Laura McCaslin for their support, recognition, and for the swift action that was taken. Thank you so very much for all that you do for Elk Grove Unified School District.
Okay, next we have student expulsion recommendations. There are none. I do not have a blue card, correct? No blue cards? All right. So moving on to, well, no LCAP update or budget, so we do have a facilities update. Mr. Pierce.
Thank you, President Singh Allen, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. Still got to get used to that part, not Ms. Hine. So I think Mr. Mate's going to get the projector going here, but in the meantime, I just want to thank the board and to have the opportunity to join the ranks of Mr. Cerruti's LCAP update and Mr. Fagan's budget update. So I think for the foreseeable future, we will include a facilities update as part of our regular agenda so that I can bring information to you pertinent not only to our overall need, but obviously as we begin to wrap up, I was going to say develop, but as we begin to finalize our master plan and bring that forward to you in a draft stage, that I'll be able to do these updates for the board so that I can keep you abreast of what's going on and gather valuable input, but also allow the community and the members of the public who are at the meetings or might be watching to be able to see what's happening and to keep their fingers kind of hot on the press of the good information out there, not only with regard to us as an individual school district, but as well as a state. And so as we have our technology woes here, I think you can probably see the, thank you, Mr. Mate. I did ask the question earlier too. So, so again, I sincerely appreciate it, and I think the board and hopefully the community will find this valuable because, as Mr. Forcina often reminds me, this is such a large undertaking for our district, not only because of our size, but the comprehensive nature of our master plan. The more often we can bring you increments and have a conversation with you, I think it'll truly be a benefit. So what my goal is in doing these updates for you is hopefully to be painting a picture so that we can begin to not only tell our story, but also tell the state story at the same time, because without a statewide participation in school facilities, it's going to leave a number of districts, not just Elk Grove, but districts up and down the state in a very desperate situation, and I'll be able to show some of that data for you tonight. But before we begin, hopefully in short order, I do want to thank, there we go. So I do want to thank the Coalition for Adequate School Housing. They're playing a large role in the development of a statewide need. And at the same time, you might know the name of Bill Savage, but Bill Savage was the recent executive officer to the State Allocation Board, and Bill has been in the K-12 facilities world for a number of years, and his retirement now from the state, previously with school districts very much like ours, he has began a company called K-12 School Facilities. Mr. Savage loves what he does. He's very passionate about what he does, and he is involved right now with a statewide needs assessment, and I'm going to be sharing some of that data with you tonight that he has prepared in terms of a statewide study, and I hope that you find it valuable. So really the agenda tonight is talk to you a little bit about the state and local context pertaining only to K-12 school facilities, talk to you a little bit about the overall state need, talk to you obviously about our local needs that we've been identifying in our master plan rollout, and then bring a summary of what's total estimated at the state level and the local level. And I hope to kind of arm the board and the public with the information in terms of a state need in particular. You hear a lot of different talk right now, whether it's from the Department of Finance, the Ledge Analyst's Office, the leadership at the legislature, but from a practitioner's vantage, both Coalition for Adequate School Housing and K-12 school facilities as a consulting firm is out trying to present this data as well so that people can appreciate what the true need is out there. So I think in terms of the state and local context, for all of us, it probably goes without saying that Elk Grove has done a remarkable job dealing with tremendous growth in our history. We really have. We've had you've heard the lingo and the talk that we were the fastest growing school district in the nation for a number of years. And I think it's clear that we were able to keep up with that surging enrollment. At the same time, that wouldn't have happened without the state's partnership. So the state, at the same time, has been able to fund not only Elk Grove Unified, but a number of other school districts in keeping up with that statewide growth. But the talk that we hear right now is as the state continues to even decline, if not flatten out in terms of enrollment, we're hearing a lot of talk now that the state needs to shift from dealing with growth to dealing with the inventory of aging facilities that we have throughout our state. And I think what makes Elk Grove unique is, one, we still have a tremendous amount of growth and growth potential, but we also have numerous aging facilities. So we're not that one district who needs nothing but modernization, but we also need a lot of growth aid from the state and also from our local tax base. And clearly none of that would have been possible at the state level and the local level without statewide bonds and without local support from taxpayers with their local school districts. So kind of to separate Elk Grove from the state, I share this data with you just so you can kind of get a feel for the state as a whole, where we've been and where we are currently. So you can see those two periods of substantial growth in the state of California and then where we are now. And for the layman or for the state leader, you might look at a projection like this and say, what's all this talk of growth? We don't have any growth needs. Look at our state. And it's important to note this is a projection that's prepared by the Department of Finance. This dates back to 2014. It's a 10-year projection. And quite honestly, we believe it to be fairly accurate with the variables that were in place in 2014 when the projection was put together. But it's only accurate on a statewide level. And I'm going to share some information with you in a minute that's kind of a giant exception to all this. And to kind of paint that picture, if you will, when the decline started or the growth eliminated or stopped and we became fairly flat in the state, that was in about 2003. And if you think back to Elk Grove Unified in 2003, where the state went flat, our growth was soaring. We were building schools just about as fast as we possibly could. So I think my point with that is this chart or this slide, although it might be accurate in terms of the overall state, is not an accurate reflection of what districts like Elk Grove Unified are facing. So now I'm going to kind of give you some details of that projection. So as I mentioned, this projection was put together in 2014 by the Department of Finance. Overall, it projects a decline of approximately 24,000 students statewide. And so again, you can understand why people might be talking about what's this discussion around growth, and it maybe not even being an important policy at the statewide level. So that decline comes by way of 28 separate counties. The largest county exhibiting the largest decline is Los Angeles County. So you can envision the numbers that you're dealing with in the county of Los Angeles, and should it experience a decline, it would have a dramatic effect on the overall state's enrollment population. But that decline dramatically masks growth that's happening in 30 other counties that are growing now and will continue to grow. So of those 30 counties, the Department of Finance itself is projecting 151,000 new students for the school districts in those counties. And so I've listed the 7 largest. You can see that the county of Sacramento is 5th on that list. It's projecting just over 12,000 future new K-12 students in the county of Sacramento. But what I would share with you, to even go a step further, I think that also masks what we will be experiencing here in Elk Grove. And I say that because there's districts in our county, Sac City Unified, San Juan Unified, and others, who aren't growing and in fact are declining. And so that number in terms of a Natomas or an Elk Grove Unified is actually quite larger, and those declining districts are having an effect on that number. So what the studies that are currently underway are doing, if you take the number of 151,000 new students throughout the state, we've gone back and we've done a pretty detailed exploration of the state program to date. And again, we can't be thankful enough for the state in participating in these new construction projects up and down the state. So we went in and we looked at the current program, and of the current program, of all the students that it's housed, approximately 70% of the growth has been housed by way of new schools. So that's literally a brand new school site. And about 30% of the new students throughout the state have been housed by way of additions to existing campuses. In addition, we've gone in and looked at the average cost to house every single student by the elementary, middle, and high school. And we've done that in 2 factors, both a brand new school and additions to existing schools. And then we go in and we apply the breakdown of students by way of K-6, 7, 8, 9, 12, and we apply that to the 151,000 projected new students throughout the state. So when we do that and we multiply it by the average cost to house new students, you can see quickly that the new construction costs over the next decade for the entire state is well over $7 billion. And I think, again, the important part here for the policymakers to understand, when they see that flat or even decline in the state, clearly Elk Grove Unified won't be able to ship its students to San Juan Unified where they might have excess capacity. We're going to need new schools. And so it's an important message. And one caveat I want to share with you, the current state program is a 50-50 match, as they call it. This scenario and this analysis that's completed is basing, again, its figures on the actual average cost to build schools as opposed to what the state funds. So this would be assuming that the state actually funds at a level that's appropriate to build schools and that you're not having to supplement it from another source. And that's the 50-50 match. So it's a pretty staggering number when you amortize that over 10 years. It's roughly $354 million a year that the state needs to start applying to future growth needs. And as well, we've escalated that to the midpoint of the decade. So let's kind of bring that back home here to Elk Grove Unified School District. So we've taken that same analysis that some of these experts in the industry are looking as a statewide need, and we're applying the same logic here to Elk Grove Unified School District. So you might recall on the statewide slide where the average was 68% of new students were housed in new schools, and about 32% were housed in additions. That really doesn't apply to our situation. And I say that because our schools are full, they're at capacity, they're already multi-track year-round, they're already quite large, and we aren't in a position, because of the type of new growth we have in these planned areas, to house 32% of the new students by way of additions to campuses. So we've changed that to a figure that we think is more reflective of Elk Grove. So we have 90% in new schools, 10% in additions, and that might also come by way of perhaps converting schools to multi-track year-round calendars. And then you would be happy, I think, or pleased to see that the costs for us to house our students are far below what the statewide average is. So you can see on this slide, for instance, the average for us to build a new school at the elementary grade level is about $37,000 per student, whereas the statewide average on the previous slide is upwards of $43,000 per student. So we're also well below the state average in how we go about building our schools. In fact, we're about 18% less than the average cost throughout the state, so that's a good thing. And then we applied our actual grade level distribution. The real significant change there is we have a lot more K-6 students as a result of our development, And I think that's because we're a young, growing community and people tend to buy homes here with young children or just starting families. So we apply that same math, although there's different variables, and you can see in Elk Grove Unified over the next decade, we're projecting a need of about $448 million in terms of growth. Now that's got a number of assumptions in it, and we're using pretty much the same type of analysis that Department of Finance did, although here in Elk Grove. And so that number can go up or go down according to what the market dictates in the future. As well, I wasn't as optimistic in terms of the state funding the true 50% like the previous analysis. So what we found in our numbers is the state actually funds our schools at about 13.5% less in terms of a 50-50 match. So it's a significant point in that we're building far below state average in terms of our cost to build schools, and the state match is still not equating to 50% of the cost to build those schools. And we also escalated that to the midpoint of the decade. So switching gears from new construction to modernization, this analysis went in and looked at all the remaining eligibility at the Office of Public School Construction. So this is as of March 14th, or March 3rd, excuse me, of 2014. The reason that's important is because OPSC around that time period stopped processing. They just started accepting applications. So this was the bank of eligibility that had already been approved for all the districts statewide, and you can see the number is well over $4 billion at that point in time, approximately a year ago or just over a year ago. So a substantial amount of modernization need for the entire state. Bringing it home to Elk Grove Unified School District, our current and projected 10-year modernization eligibility with the state of California is $155 million, which we'd be required to match. It's a 40% match at $103 million. So compared to the state at just over $4 billion, our modernization eligibility would be just over $250 million. So to talk again about the state and how they've been processing or not processing applications, the figure I shared with you, the $4 billion worth of modernization eligibility right now, that does not include what we call the true unfunded list. The Office of Public School Construction was processing and approving applications that were well beyond the bond authority. And for new construction, those exceeded $181 million worth of new construction projects statewide and $193 million worth of modernization projects. At that point in time, the State Allocation Board and the legislature decided they didn't want to continue to approve those applications, and they stopped processing them. So they gave direction to their staff at the Office of Public School Construction: you can accept applications, but you can't process them. So from that point in time to today, they have a new construction pool of $750 million, and these are projects. We have one. These are projects that districts have built, that they submitted for funding, and they wanted to be processed, but they're not being processed. They're being held in a bay. And then the modernization applications tally over $375 million. So my point with all that is clearly you can see there's a substantial need. These are districts that have eligibility under the guidelines of the current program, and they're actually building these projects just like we are currently. And we all know districts wouldn't be doing that if the need doesn't exist. And this is all piling up. So to bring that all to summary, overall, the current state need through this study that's taking place with the Coalition for Adequate School Housing and Bill Savage's firm, K-12 School Facilities, is there's a current need right now in the state of projected growth and just what's in-house with modernization eligibility at the state level of about $9.5 billion statewide. So you've heard talk of statewide bond measures from the legislature. None of them got close to that figure. And then you know that there's a ballot initiative that's being qualified as we speak, or signatures being validated, I should say, that's for $7 billion, which would be wonderful, but you can see from the information we provided that they do also fall short. And then again, switching from the state to the Elk Grove Unified School District, as I shared with you earlier, our projected new construction need right now for the next decade at $448 million. The same analysis in terms of modernization eligibility at $258 million over that same time period. We've shared with you through our master plan updates our facility condition assessment at $454 million, and I'm not trying to scare anybody with these figures. They are real. For a total projected need over the next decade of close to $1.2 billion. Under the current program, we would hope for some state match, and we come up with a district projected contribution, assuming a state match. And again, to kind of qualify that $811 million that we would need as a district moving forward, assuming state participation, just to share with you a couple things. If the new construction projection that you see on the slide were to come to fruition and the realities of that were felt, we would also collect about $203 million worth of developer fees that would go against that match. So that would be dollars that developers are paying us. So that buys down the $811 million. At the same time, the board has about $54 million in remaining authorization from Measure A that's at your disposal to use on needed projects that are identified in the master plan. So that buys down that number. And then we will have about $15 million in project expenditures from Proposition 39 that will also buy down against that modernization number, as well as what's identified in the facility condition assessment. So the number with available resources to you today is somewhere around about $500 million. So still a large number. But again, they're draft. What these don't include, we shared with the board at our board workshop that we're going to be doing district-wide surveys with site administrators, site staff, and also the community. And as we roll that out through your board community meetings, we're going to gain valuable input. We also haven't included in these figures yet the changes to our existing schools in the way of the learning environment, and we know that's going to be a cost. Some of that will count against the modernization, but I don't want you to leave the room tonight thinking this is written in stone and this is all the need is, because as we come back, we'll be sharing additional information with you about what's been identified and how we can fund those things. So I know I threw a lot at you tonight, but again, my goal is to share with you statewide need as well as the local need, and at our next presentation, I would hope to bring to you kind of the state of statewide funding and where it is, and then where we're at as an individual school district.
Great. Well, thank you, Mr. Pierce. It's wonderful to have you as part of our regular agenda and providing these updates to the board. So I will open it up for questions or comments. Yes, Ms. Chaitis Espinosa.
Just a quick comment. Those are very sobering numbers, obviously, but thank you so much for giving us this long-range vision. We spend so much of our time on the operational side because there is so much to consider. It's really valuable for me to be able to keep in mind, what we need to do long-term on the facility side, so thank you.
And what we'll try to continue to do is bring it to you in bite-sized pieces before we bring you a draft document that's going to be quite comprehensive and large. So that's our goal in all these, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'd just like to thank you again, echo what my colleague said. It's very informative. I just had a question if a slide could be added in with the last portion that you mentioned regarding the Measure A and the propositions with the amount, so that way we can kind of compare as to what we have already there. That would be very helpful. Thank you again.
Excellent. Yes, Ms. Chaitis Espinosa.
Sorry, I forgot my question. In your presentation, you referenced that our per pupil housing cost is cheaper than the statewide average. Can you give us some reasons for that?
So I think, one, I'd like to think that we do things very efficiently and effectively, and we do. And I say that confidently, not arrogantly, but it's part of the success is because we've done this a lot, right? A lot of these districts go out and build a school for the first time in 2 decades, or maybe ever, for many of the staff and the board even. We have figured it out pretty well. We continue to do things that some districts call old-fashioned. We still do the good old design bid build process, and we do a lot of rebuilds, and we have our team pretty well defined. And so part of the efficiency is also because we build large schools, quite honestly. So the larger the school, you drive down the cost per pupil. But I think we have a pretty successful template, and a lot of districts come to us. And we're in a decent area. It's not the cheapest area to build, Sacramento region, but certainly we're not an LA County or a South Bay or San Francisco County where the cost of construction is a little more expensive. But we've done a lot, so I think we have it down pretty well.
Thank you.
You're being very humble. Part of that success is you, Mr.
Well,
Pierce.
it's everything.
You are on top of your field, so thank you. Other questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Forcina.
One quick question, Rob. You indicated we don't get the full 50-50 match. Why
Right.
is that?
So the state funding program is simply a per pupil grant amount, and it's based on state standards, not reality, that the district is building. So if you build I'm just for the sake of simplifying it, if you build a 10 classroom elementary school, the state loading standard's 25, so you can only ask for 250 grants for that 10 classroom elementary school. And their grant amount is a statewide number, so it's the same in LA as it is here in Elk Grove, and it's just a low number. It's just not reality. And to make it more difficult for you is the developer fee is a duplication of that number. So in theory, the state grant plus the developer fee is supposed to represent 100% of the cost. And so in sharing with you that we're well below the statewide average, we're having to supplement that amount. So we're thankful for it. You know, I don't want to sound like we're not, because we appreciate any funding that we can receive, but it's just a low number, and there's no other way to put it, frankly. So the state allocation board does look at that number each year in January, as you've learned through your developer fee update, and they increase it or not. But historically, it's been underfunded, as has the modernization program.
Thank you.
I believe Mr. Perez, yes.
Yes, I have the same question. What drives our costs so low? I was wondering, how much does labor cost? Is that included in that?
Yeah, this all assumes prevailing wage labor, and schools are expensive to build, and it's
Right.
not necessarily just because it's prevailing wage. All public works projects are prevailing wage. But like I've mentioned before, second to a hospital, a school is the place you want to be in an emergency. So they are designed and built to a standard that, again, is only second to a hospital. So much more expensive than any commercial or residential development per square foot.
And in your projection, you mentioned 7 million or billion for just our school district?
No.
For modernization and.
What slide, Mr. Perez?
That's statewide.
That was statewide, but
Yeah.
what was the total for ours?
So our total for new construction, we're projecting for the next decade about $450 million, and for modernization, $260 million.
Okay.
So as a whole, with our facility condition assessment improvements, you're looking at about $1.2 billion for our district over the next decade.
So that would possibly be our bond projection.
That would be one way. So what the facility master plan will end with, we'll assess, we'll identify the need. That need will have a cost to it, and then we'll provide the board options for how we're going to fund those projects. And that would certainly entail a local bond measure, I'm sure.
Okay. Thank you. Very good
Any
report.
other colleagues? All right, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you regularly for our updates. Thank you so much, Mr. Pierce. Next up, bargaining units. I'd like to ask if any bargaining unit wishes to address the board. Nope. We have a new face joining. Thank you. Welcome. All right, we have no reports, no public hearing or action items, discussion items. So we are on to action items. First up, 2015-2016 Annual Service Delivery Budget Plan for Special Education. Mr. Tolstrup.
Thank you, President Singh Allen, Mr. Hoffman, Salves, and members of the board. In speaking with my colleague Geraldine, we decided to ask permission to do two items since item 1 and 3 are both together. So we presented to the board at the last board meeting our 15-16 annual service delivery and budget plan for special education. Tonight we ask that the board approve that plan.
All right, we did already have our discussions that, at the August 18th, 2015 meeting, so are there any additional questions from colleagues here? All right, I would like to call,
Did we vote?
no, it was a presentation.
Okay.
So now we are doing our motion here. So I'd like to call for a motion to approve the 2015-2016 annual service delivery budget plan for special education.
So moved.
We have a motion by Ms. Chaitis Espinosa
Second it.
and a second from Mr. Madison. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Very good. And I'm sorry, which item you wanted to go to?
Number 3, the revision of board policy
Very good.
5030, the wellness policy. We brought that forward, the revision
Yes.
to board policy 5030 at the last board meeting. Tonight, we would like the board to take action to approve those revisions to board policy 5030.
Very good. Are there any additional questions that weren't addressed at the last board meeting from colleagues? All right, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the proposed revisions of board policy 5030 student wellness as aligned with the California School Board Association.
I move approval of
We-
revised board policy 5030.
We have a motion from Mr. Fortuna
I'll second it.
and a second from Mr. Perez. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up, we have pupil textbook and instructional materials. Ms. Ewing, good evening.
So good evening, President Singal and members of the Board of Education, Superintendent Hoffman and Ms. Avalos. As you'll recall, the Board of Education held a public hearing in accordance with Education Code 60119 regarding textbooks and instructional materials at the last board meeting on August 18th, 2015. Tonight I'm here to request the approval of Resolution Number 7, certifying that funds are expended in accordance with the Pupil Textbook and Instructional Materials Incentive Program Act, ensuring that each pupil has sufficient textbooks or instructional materials.
All right, thank you, Ms. Ewing. Any additional questions or comments from colleagues that weren't addressed at the last board meeting? Seeing none, I would like to call for a motion to approve Resolution Number 7, 2015-2016, that certifies that K-12 instructional materials monies are expended in compliance with the Pupil Textbook and Instructional Materials Incentive Program Act, ensuring that each pupil will have sufficient instructional materials. That's the motion. So
So moved.
we have a motion to approve from Mr. Fortuna
I'll second it.
and a second for Mr. Perez. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Very good. Thank you, Ms. Ewing. All right, next up, Hispanic Heritage Month. Mr. Cerruti, good evening.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. The Board of Education has respectfully requested to approve the resolution that designates September 15th through October 15th Hispanic Heritage Month. In September of 1968, Congress authorized President Johnson to proclaim National Heritage Week, and in 1988, that month-long celebration was extended, or the week-long celebration was extended to a month from September 15th through October 15th. Throughout the year, the contributions of Americans with Hispanic heritage are presented in the regular curriculum. However, the special focus for 1 month serves as a reminder of the combined contributions of people of Hispanic heritage.
Thank you, Mr. Cerruti. I would like to call for a motion to adopt Resolution Number 8, 2015-2016, that designates September 15th through October 15, 2015 as Hispanic Heritage Month.
So moved.
Ms. Chaitis Espinosa made the motion,
I'd like to second.
and second, Ms. Martinez-Aleri. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right. Next up, Constitution Day. Mr. Cerruti.
The Board of Education is also respectfully requested to adopt the resolution that designates September 17th, 2015 as Constitution Day. September 17th, 2015 will be the 228th anniversary of the writing of the Constitution of the United States. In 2004, Congress created a federal holiday, Constitution Day, designated to be September 17th. Through this resolution, the Board of Education would communicate a clear message about the importance of our country's foundation governing document, as well as the importance of civic values.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cerruti. I'd like to call for a motion to adopt Resolution Number 9, 2015-2016, that designates September 17, 2015 as Constitution Day.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to move approval of resolution number 9.
All right, motion to approve Mr. Forcina and a second from Ms. Albiani. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you.
You.
All right, next up, we have board member and superintendent reports. Did any board members have any committee meetings since we last convened? Okay, well, it's the beginning of the year. I'm sure that will change. Mr. Hoffman, no reports. All right. We will move on then to the consent agenda. Mr. Forcina.
I move approval of the consent agenda, which includes items 1 through items 12.
All right, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda from Mr. Forcina. We have a second from Mr. Madison. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any noes? Okay, wow, we are moving right along. So nothing was removed, so any open items from the floor? Does anybody have anything that they would like to address, bring to our attention? All right, with that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Students, it's never this early.